Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back on the Star Wars: Black Series action figure review. Today taking a look at a figure that I have been eagerly anticipating for a while now. It is the Deluxe Dark Trooper from The Mandalorian. So yeah, we've gotten a few Deluxe releases this year, and I think every Deluxe that's come out this year I don't think has been really worth the money. I think this one comes a bit closer at least. This one at least does a few things that maybe kind of sort of help to warrant the price point. I do still think, spoiler, I do still think it's kind of an overpriced figure, but it's a very cool one. Yeah, I was really looking forward to get this one. I've had the Vintage Collection Deluxe for a little while now, maybe a month or two. Surprisingly found that in stores. I got this one from an online seller, and I have actually another one coming from Amazon. I wasn't really intending to get two, but here we are. But yeah, let's get right into it. So right off the bat, it might be hard to capture some of the details because he's a very glossy black, but that's, one thing I actually like about it. As you'll see, he's covered in this nice glossy black. I'm assuming it's just the plastic, it's glossy black, but maybe it's fully painted. I'm assuming it's just plastic color though, but I really like it. The glossy black really helps to kind of get the point across that these are like brand new off the production line droids and that the plastic's kind of simulating metal. Obviously it's not metal, but yeah. One thing about it though is that you won't really notice it if you don't have a light shining right on top of it, but like right now with them reviewing it and with my lamp shining right on top of it, you can kind of see the fingerprint marks and the little like pieces of dust and whatnot that get stuck on it. But under normal lighting, you won't really notice it that much. The head sculpt, I think, looks super good. I absolutely love the head sculpt. I mean, I absolutely love the design of the Dark Troopers. I think they look absolutely incredible. But the head sculpt, I think, looks really nice. It's just all black except for the red painted eyes. Something that it actually does differently from the Vintage Collection. I'll do a comparison of the Vintage Collection, but the Vintage Collection actually incorporated light piping. And during my review of that, and even in the comments, I kind of defended Hasbro's position to do that. From me being a Transformers collector, I just really usually prefer or like having light piping with figures when it comes to Transformers. And a lot of people on the review commented saying they didn't actually like the light piping, and kind of defended it a bit. But now having the Black Series in hand, I can actually switch my tune and agree that the painted eyes I think look better. Unfortunately, when it comes to the light piping, if you don't have light constantly going through it, the eyes just kind of look dead. But with the painted eyes here, they look like they're actually alive, kind of on all the time, and they look pretty good being painted. So yeah, I do prefer the painted eyes. And the torso here, interesting thing with the torso, I'm not entirely sure why they did it, but it's actually an overlay on top of a torso, a molded torso. And you do actually have sculpted detail in there. It's a little hard to see, but there is some sculpted detail under there. But the entire torso piece is kind of like a Stormtrooper chest plate. It's a separate piece, so it kind of floats around, which is a little weird. You're messing around with it, and the chest is kind of moving all over the place, but it's not too big of a deal. It still it looks fine and everything. It's just kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. And the shoulder pads are on hinges, so they do move out of the way a bit. And this rest figure got some nice details. You got some nice silver paint apps in multiple places, including all on the joints. And the joints have those clear plastic kind of pins in them, like the K2SO and the New Republic Security Droid that I recently reviewed. And they look good, so that's pretty cool. And you got other this nice little silver paint details. The midsection has a lot of nice mechanical detail, and they actually did go in there and paint some silver on the pistons and some other details, which I think looks really nice. Something that the 3 1/4 inch Vintage Collection didn't do, so that's kind of cool. And the legs, again, like on the inside where there's joints where you almost will never see it anyways, but they did paint some silver in there, which is really nice added touch. Silver there, again, on the joints look really good. Design looks great. I really like the blocky, intimidating design of these droids, so that's very cool. But not a whole lot to talk about, There's a little bit of red paint apps on these buttons or lights on the chest, but yeah, there's not much. It's not a ton of colors, but the paint that is applied looks pretty nice, and I don't really know what other paint details they really could have given them. I think it looks pretty good, so that's nice. In terms of articulation, you have a dumbbell joint in the neck. There's actually 2 points of articulation there, one at the base of the neck and one that connects it to the head. So it looks up an okay amount, looks down a decent amount, pivots well, rotates. Ball joints in the shoulders move 90. They go kind of all the way around. The shoulder pads do get in the way a little bit, but you can, rotate them. They go about that far. There's no bicep swivel, but in lieu of that, you have a single hinge in the elbow. It goes 90 as per the design of the droid. And then you also got a rotation there. And then you got another, oh no, sorry, not another rotation there, but you got a rotation at the wrist, actually 2 points, so that you can either have the wrist hinge up and down or in and out if you want. So that's a very cool little feature of articulation. Torso joint goes back not too far. You can kind of, if you bend them right, you can still get them in like decent flight poses, but I do think they could have made him be able to look back a little further. Crunch, not a whole lot. Pivot, okay. Rotation. Hips, joints move about that far. They kick forward a decent amount. There is a thigh swivel, which is nicely hidden by the armor of the legs, which is cool. Hinge at the knee goes about 90. There is a rotation at both points above the knee and below the knee. Kind of too pointless to have both of them, but I won't say no to more articulation. Hinge at the ankles move up a decent amount, move down a lot, and then pivot very well. And so yeah, it poses pretty nicely. And one thing to note is that the articulation all functions really smoothly. Like every joint moves smoothly. It's not too tight, but not too loose. I love it when figures are like that. So really like the articulation on this one, made very well. In terms of accessories, this is a deluxe release. I wouldn't necessarily say he comes with a deluxe amount of accessories, but it does come with a decent amount of stuff. Of course, you do get the blaster that they have. It's just molded in gray plastic, got a very little bit of silver paint there. It looks good. Sculpted detail is decent enough. And he's got a trigger hand in the right hand, or it, I guess. Grips it really securely, no problem. And then the other hand is just a normal grip hand, so you can do kind of whatever with it, but it's built pretty much to specifically hold the weight of the gun, and looks really good. You can get a lot of nice blaster poses with this, so that's very good. One thing that it doesn't have, that the Vintage Collection one does, and I think actually like literally every version of the Dark Trooper that has existed except for this version has it, is that he has no weapon storage on the thigh. The Vintage Collection figure has a port, a hole, and then you can peg the clip into the hole on the thigh and can store it. Pretty sure the Mission Fleet can do that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have the Hot Toys. I'm assuming the Hot Toys can also store it. So for whatever reason, the Black Series is the only one that cannot store the blaster. Not sure why they did that. It would have been so easy just to put a hole there. I don't know why they didn't do it, but yeah, no weapon storage has been unfortunate. Another cool feature though is you do also get interchangeable closed fists, which is pretty nice. The hands come off pretty easily. I would be a little careful. These pegs are really small, so I would be a little careful putting the hands on. Be careful, but they go on pretty easily and they go on very securely. They got a couple clicks when you're putting them on, so you can put them on. And then you have the fists, which is pretty cool. So you can have them beating the shit out of Din Djarin or whatever you want to do, punching them out, punching a doorway, do whatever you want to do with it. So that's very cool as well. Interchangeable hands really need to become more of a norm with those Black Series figures in general. I guess I'll keep those on right now. And then lastly, you also get a couple of little thruster effects. We first saw these with the Deluxe Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, and they have little balls on the end of them. And you can go to the feet, and you can actually plug the effects into the feet. So if you want to, you can have them flying around like they do in the show, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, you do not get a flight stand with this figure, so you're going to have to source your own flight stand or find your own way to get that to work. But if you have the flight stand, that's a pretty cool display option. So a pretty good array of accessories. I can't really think of much else it could have came with. I guess because of these, you can probably unpeg these shoulder pads pretty easily. It would have been pretty cool to maybe get interchangeable maybe battle damage parts, maybe some battle damage shoulder pads, and maybe a swappable head that has battle damage. I think that would be pretty cool because we do see them damaged up in the show. But yeah, it's Hasbro Black Series. You can't expect a whole lot from them, unfortunately to say. But before we finish off here, we'll do some comparisons. First off, I guess with the 3 3/4 inch Vintage Collection Deluxe figure. They're both Deluxes. I think they both look really good. I mean, they're both pretty comparable. Like I said, the 3 3/4 inch has the light piping, and this Black Series does not. You can tell the eyes are definitely a lot more noticeable on the Black Series. All the details are pretty similar. The Black Series does have a bit more silver than the Vintage Collection one does. But they're still both really, really good figures. The black 3 1/4 one is still a really nice figure. Which one's better than the other? Honestly, I'd have to say the 3 1/4 one's probably a bit more worth the deluxe price because you get the whole recharge docking station with the 3 1/4 inch, plus all the accessories that this guy comes with, plus the weapon storage that this guy's missing. So I feel like value for money wise, even though they're not too different in price, this one is a bit cheaper and gives you more stuff. So I do feel like the Vintage Collection one's a little better in that regard. But I do kind of like, as an action figure, kind of like the Black Series one more. I'll be honest, it's a little funner to pose, a bit more satisfying, I guess. I think it looks a bit better. I don't know. I do kind of prefer it. But I think the Vintage Collection one might be a bit more worth the money. Then with some other characters, here he is with Moff Gideon, which he stands significantly taller than, but Gideon's a pretty shorter character. Here he's with Din Djarin, and I think they're scaled pretty well. They're definitely bulkier and definitely a bit taller, but they're not humongous, which I guess is not a complaint to the actual figure, but it's a complaint to the fact that it's a deluxe. It's not that much bigger of a figure. This definitely could have fit in a normal box. It should have been a regular release, but yeah. There's that. Here he is next to a Stormtrooper. I think that looks cool. And then here he is with a couple other deluxes from this year. We have Saw Gerrera from Rogue One, and we have the Walmart exclusive Tython Boba Fett with his reclaimed armor. And you can see how they kind of all look together. So yeah, I definitely think the Dark Trooper is one of the stronger deluxe releases from this year by a long shot. Yeah, these Boba Fett just straight up shouldn't have been deluxes, but I'm sure you've heard that from everyone at this point. I will say, I think from an objective standpoint, I think that the Saw Gerrera is the best deluxe of the year. I thought maybe I would think the Dark Trooper, it would be the best deluxe of the year, and it's definitely my favorite from the year, but the Saw Gerrera is really good when it comes to deluxe. He's the one I think that comes the closest to being worth it at the deluxe price point. I think a bit more so than the Dark Trooper. But yeah, I don't really have anything much more to say. It's a really good figure. If you collect Black Series 6-inch or you just like Dark Troopers and you want a figure of it, this is a really nice, fun figure to get for the Dark Trooper. Looks great. Has good accessories, articulates well. A bit overpriced, but not too bad, honestly. So I definitely recommend picking it up. I've got another one coming on the way, like I said, kind of by accident. I ordered this one, and then my Amazon pre-order ended up coming through, and I couldn't cancel in time, so it's just coming. So I'm just going to go with it and have 2 of them. But yeah, really cool figure. Definitely recommend. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one. May the Force be with you.